We talked about a few players Texas A&M couldn't lose to the portal if they wanted to be successful next season. Well, some of those players left.
You are Locked On Aggies, your daily podcast on the Texas A&M Aggies. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on into Locked On Aggies. I'm your host, Andrew Stefaniak. Thanks for making Locked On Aggies your first listen every single day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. So, on yesterday's show of Locked On Aggies, as you everydayers know, we had a little more fun of a topic to discuss. As Coach Klein was hired, we were excited. We were looking forward to discussing a new offensive coordinator. Today, the conversation isn't as fun, in my opinion. And we're going to talk a little bit about Coach Klein and his offense in segment 2. I did a little bit of digging on it and a little bit of numbers, so we'll talk about some of that. But Texas A&M took a hit in the transfer portal yesterday. You lose Tyreek Chappell, Jake Johnson, Walter Nolen, Chase Bisontis, and I want to add this caveat for people because people are going to comment it. Fadil Diggs said that he's going to enter the portal. I think as of now, he still hasn't put his name in, but we had the same, circle with Walter Nolen, and, he did end up entering. So, but we'll add that caveat for Fadil Diggs for now. But, I mean, I had someone call me today and say, "Oh, you're being what was I talking about?" I don't remember what I was talking about to now, but it was it was when Coach Robinson left. And it was, "Andrew, you're being so negative." And I was like, "Well, I don't know if I'd say I'm being negative. I'd say more I'm being I'm laying out that I think this is a problem." And that's what we're going to do talking about these players. I'm not trying to be negative. I'm just being brutally honest. And I don't think any of this comes as a surprise. We all knew we were going to lose some players. We knew some players were going to go in the portal. That doesn't come as a surprise. But it's just when you look at, who you just lost, you kind of go, ooh, that ain't good. Walter Nolen, one of the best recruits ever in college football, you lose. Chase Bisontis, a dude who came in, and was he great all year? No, but he was a freshman playing offensive line, and we talked about that doesn't work out well. I think I saw some people on Twitter saying, well, Bisontis was a bust. Bisontis wasn't a great tackle, wasn't a great offensive lineman. I don't think you can judge that. And I'm pretty sure he just won with York. I'm pretty sure he just was a freshman All-American. I got to double check that. If I'm wrong on that, let me know in the comments. But I'm pretty sure I saw that on Twitter the other day. I mean, Bisontis wasn't perfect. No, he wasn't perfect. He did a lot wrong. But he's a big offensive lineman who's going to be a Power 5 starter for his whole career. That's the reality here. You're losing that. I am not one to judge a freshman offensive lineman after one season. I'm not going to do it just because, we don't know anything about Bisontis yet. And I think we'll learn that the hard way wherever he ends up landing. I think you're going to learn, hey, this kid was really good. And he was just kind of developing into college football as a true freshman. Playing offensive line in the SEC as a freshman is the hardest thing in the world. Well, that's not true. Taxes is also difficult. Doing taxes. Dad and I are meeting about taxes tonight. I'm not stoked about that. These are the things out of college you kind of go, I don't tell you about that. Sorry, beside the point. I'm not excited about taxes. That's what we're bringing it up. But, Chase Bisontis is a good football player. And it's a loss at a position. You've already lost some offensive linemen to the portal. Now, the couple you lost were reserves. Obviously, Chase Bisontis was the guy who was playing for you. But, it's not a position that I like to be losing people. you're going to have to go and get, Coach Cushing is going to have to go get the new offensive line coach is going to have to go get more offensive linemen. Jake Johnson, I won't spend a ton of time on him compared to some of these other guys just because, hey, he, I think it to me seemed like this was expected based on the fact that, I think he might follow his brother to North Carolina. Don't know that for a fact, just that's what kind of the vibe was on Twitter. But Jake's a good football player. Best of luck to him. He's a good tight end. I think he's going to find a future in football. So, and then the names that really hurt come up, which is Walter Nolen, Tyreek Chappell, and Fadil Diggs, assuming, Fadil Diggs does officially put his name in. That might already happen. I am recording this in the morning this week. So this is coming to you on Thursday morning. But, Fadil Diggs, that's your guy. That's your sack guy. He's the one that's gotten all this pressure. Obviously, this season, he didn't lead the Aggies in sacks or anything. He didn't have the season that I kind of had imagined him to. But, we know what you're getting from Fadil Diggs. He's a good football player who can get after the passer, skilled player. He can do what you need. If you need him to get out in coverage, he can do it. He can do anything you need him to do. And he's a football player that I think is going to go make an SEC school, a Big 12 school, very happy person, a coach, a very happy person because he's just talented. He's a good football player. Tyreek Chappell, this one, back to his freshman year, we knew what you had here in this kid. Talented player that heading into this season, there were arguments that he was the best player on Texas A&M's roster. And, once again, another guy, I think you would say season didn't go how you imagined. I don't, more times than not, I don't think he was the issue in the secondary as much as like a Josh DeBerry. Now, did Tyreek Chappell have his moments of not great? Yes. I'm not saying he's perfect, but, this is a loss. This is a guy that even with probably going to get a few new corners and stacking up at that position, it's the guy you want on your roster. So losing Tyreek Chappell hurts at a position. We're going to talk about recruiting in segment 3. Losing a player in a position, you just don't have a ton of guys at right now. Obviously, you're going to have to we know you're going to hit the portal hard at that position, but you got to. You're losing these guys left and right. So, and then lastly, just is Walter Nolen. Words can't describe, and I'm not trying to be negative. This is just being 100% realistic. Losing Walter Nolen is a problem. I'm pretty sure I read he's the number 1 player in the entire portal. And it makes sense. He put up great numbers, did a good job his first 2 seasons at Texas A&M after being, the one of the top recruit in college football. That in our high school recruiting, that makes sense. It makes sense why he's ranked so high in the portal. Same as Fadil Diggs. Walter Nolen's going to make a coach very, very happy when it comes to wherever he ends up playing next season. That one hurts. That's a guy you bring in a defensive line coach, you bring in Coach Spencer and you give him this guy and you say, okay, develop him. Let's go. Let's do this. And it's hard to really wrap around, just explain how big of a deal this loss is. But I think that third year Walter Nolen would have been a very scary sight. And I think it will be wherever his next location is. One thing I don't want to see is Walter Nolen lined up in another uniform next year because, oh, gosh, I can't. I'm sorry. Against us next year. He's going to be in another uniform. I'm saying lined up against us like at a, I just, like he's not, we don't play Bama or Georgia, but who do we play that he could go, go to an LSU or something? I just don't want to see it. Don't want to see it because he's so good. He's going to be so good for wherever he goes. But, those are the names right now that have recently entered the portal. Obviously, like a Ray Cottrell went. A few of the reserve linemen, Remington went. You lost some guys there, but Max left. But at the end of the day, these names are starting to get more and more important. I'm hoping that this is kind of the end of the guys that are going to head out, simply because, I mean, look at it. It's Thursday. They've had 4 days to enter the portal. They've kind of met with some coaches. So I think that we're getting close to this being the end of who's leaving. And that's exciting, but still, I mean, losing these guys really hurts. It really does hurt. We're going to talk about Coach Klein, recently hired offensive coordinators. Awesome things I noticed from his offense, just looking at a little bit of tape and looking at some numbers that got me excited. We'll discuss that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. But first, I got to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. As the weather gets colder, the NFL offers stay hot on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 moneyline bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. Speaking about us tonight, normally I get to pre-record. I pre-record, so I don't get to discuss like a game coming up. The Thursday night football game coming up tonight is horrible. Like I said, I'm meeting with my dad to go over some taxes stuff, and we're gonna probably watch this ball game. And it's like Steelers, Patriots. Like, yikes! Kenny Pickett looks like he's not gonna be out there. What do you bet on this? This is a game. Hey, maybe the under. They could put the under at 15 points, and I'd think about it. Maybe I'll give you an example of a prop I like, and I haven't looked at it yet. I haven't looked at the number yet. But let's say that Ezekiel Elliott, right? He's filling in for Ramondre Stevenson, which is really great for my fantasy football playoff hopes, one of my 3 leagues. But so yeah, you got a banged up Stevenson. He's not going to be out there. Ezekiel Elliott's going to be the guy. If they put his rushing yards as something absurd like 64, I'll take the under on that. You know, that's what I'm saying. So those I think maybe we'll say. And if Ezekiel Elliott's yards is anything over 60, the 2 locks of the day are his under on rushing yards, and I think the under on the game. That's my locks of the day. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. So I want to run through just some things I noticed about Coach Klein's offense. Mr. Coach Klein. I just set in. That's great. I'm sorry. That brought me so much joy. Okay. Balanced attack, first of all. And that's, I know I beat that term like a drum when we were talking about, breaking down ball games this season. But to me, it's important. I mean, there's different styles of offense. You got Coach Leach's, the late, great Coach Leach and his air raid. You've got all these different things. You've got teams that ground and pound. You've got the military schools and how they go about it. They just run the football. I mean, offense is a beautiful thing, and then everybody does it a little bit different. You got different plans. You got different approaches. You got different ways of going about it. And I'm going to do a further. This has been a crazy week. I'm going to do a further in-depth look into Coach Klein's offense. I read a little bit about it. I'm going to watch full game tape of the whole season. I'm going to break that down probably this weekend, and we'll discuss it on Monday. So look forward to that. That'll be fun. But I mean, so I want to talk for 5 or 6 minutes what I learned quickly when just looking at stats and looking at a little bit of tape, like highlights, not even really game tape, but highlights. The first thing I noticed is it's a balanced attack. I mean, 395 passing attempts, 493 rushing attempts. Pretty balanced. It's not what we would see from an offense that's really heavy one way or the other. And then I quickly noticed, so you had a quarterback in Avery Johnson who came in. So Will Howard was a starter there. He actually entered the portal. Avery Johnson came in, and I have to find more out about this, but there was one game where he came in. It looks like Howard got hurt a little bit, and this guy finished the game. But this Johnson kid did without. So I'll give you an example. In the first game of the season, right? Or not the first game of the season. So let's find a game where it's legit. Like, did he do it against Missouri? Yeah, so in this game against Missouri, they put in a quarterback that had a few packages to run the football. So, is that something we could see? I don't know. Could you see a package like that with I mean, and it doesn't have to be a quarterback. Could it be just an elite, an athletic player to come in and kind of have some gadget plays? But Will Howard was a good quarterback. He was 219 for 357 this season for Kansas State, 2,643 yards, 24 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He was sacked 16 times, a rating of 140. And then, even the backup, 23 for 35, 301 yards, 65 completion percentage, 65.7 completion percentage, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had some solid quarterback play. Then you look at the running back. He had a 1,000-yard rusher in DJ Giddens, sophomore running back, 195 carries, 1,075 yards, 9 touchdowns, averaging 5.5 yards a carry, which is great to see his running backs averaging their backs average 4.9 yards a carry this year. Let's see or their rushing attack, let's say that. So let's see what Texas A&M averaged on the ground this year. If I had to guess, I would say it is less than 4. I think it was like 4 point. Was it 4.4? Yeah, 3.9 yards a carry. So that's a big difference. Seeing that difference, Kansas State averaging pretty much a full yard more on the ground. That's great to see. So this is the point, the real point I wanted to get into when talking about his offense. I think Connor Wigman is going to fit in his offensive style so well. And I'm going to tell you why. Will Howard, to me, is a similar quarterback to Connor Wigman. Just in the fact that they're not a run-first guy, but they're sneaky athletic. And when they get outside the pocket, they can surprise you with a little bit of speed. I think those quarterbacks are very similar in that way. I think arm talent-wise, I'm taking Connor Wigman for the future. But Will Howard's a good quarterback. He's going to make, once again, talking about making a team happy. Wherever he transfers, he's going to make somebody happy. And so, Will Howard, 81 carries, 251 rushing yards, 9 touchdowns, and that's with being sacked for like 104 yards. So you can do the math there. They can run the football with their quarterback, and I think it's a great example of what Connor Wigman is. He is not a run-first guy, but he can run and surprise you with his athleticism and his speed. That is going to fit in really well to what Coach Klein wants to do, and that is, to me, something that needs to be known. They're going to be able to run the football a little bit with Connor Wigman next year. They're going to be able to run the football a little bit with him, and that's a good thing. I think that's going to help this football team, because it's just one more thing. Okay, oh man, you're an opposing coach, defensive coordinator heading this game. Man, this team, they can run the football, they can throw the football, and their quarterback can run the football. It's a triple threat. We got to watch out for everything. Everybody on this field can hurt us. That is something to remember. And then you look at the receiving. Who led the team in receiving yards? Who led the team? Didn't lead, was 4 off and lead the team in receptions, and led the team in receiving touchdowns. Drum roll. A tight end. He gets the tight ends involved. That matters. You're going to have a Donovan Green back, right? Okay. Here you go, brother. This is your opportunity. You're going to get your passes. You're going to get your opportunities. You're going to get your tight ends fed. Theo, if he doesn't leave. Platt, these young guys. Coach Klein feeding the tight ends. That's what I'm getting at here. So that's exciting to me. I love an offense that feeds a tight end. And I think you've got some really talented tight ends in Donovan Green, the freshman Platt. And I'll tell you one thing. I think Donovan Green, him going down with the ACL tear was tragic. He's going to be so good. And I've actually seen him on kind of on Twitter saying stuff like, "Oh, why are people leaving?" kind of thing. Sounds like he's happy where he is. I don't think he's going anywhere. So I think Donovan Green will be your tight end next year, and I think Coach Klein and Donovan Green I think that's going to be a nasty duo because he can get the ball to a tight end, and I think that Green's a very talented tight end that's going to have a good season next year. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that play out. But he's got a receiver, 53 receptions, 589 yards, 5 touchdowns, 22 receptions, 385 to the running back had 28 receptions out of the backfield, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns. Receiver 17, 244 and 2, 21, 196 and 2. He spreads the football out to different players, running backs, tight ends, wide receivers. Everybody on the field is a weapon to catch the football and to be part of this offense. So I will dig deeper into Coach Klein's offense, like I said this weekend. That's just initial thoughts. Let me know. Has anybody, any of you everydayers, have y'all looked in the tape? How do we feel about it? Do we like the offense? Do we like how it flows? Tell me all that in the YouTube comments if anybody's kind of dug into the offense of Coach Klein. So let me know that. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the 2024 recruiting class and who you got to hold on to, where it's at currently, and is there anything else we need? We'll discuss that coming up right here on Locked On Aggies. First, I got to tell you about our friends over at PrizePicks. So PrizePicks, what I love about PrizePicks, it's a sports betting app where you're picking one thing, over or under, on different metrics, different stats. Like I said, I'd have to check it out. What is Ezekiel Elliott's rushing yards on PrizePicks? I bet it's going to be a little bit inflated because he's going to be the starter, because he's going to be the guy. Zeke's old. He's not what he was. He's getting old. I think I might take it under there. If it's over 60, if they put him at 37 rushing yards and he's the main guy, yeah, I'm not going to take the under on that. But if they put him at, 64, I might take it under on that. With the Pittsburgh defense, it's good defense, something to think about. But that's what I love about PrizePicks. You're picking over and unders. You're not picking against betting sharps. None of that. You're picking higher or lower on a stat. It makes football games stuff fun. It makes a football game like tonight's fun because this is not a good football game. But hey, bet some unders on player props. It could profit you. That's what I'm saying. It's a ton of fun. I love PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege. Promo code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match up to $100. So, the 2024 recruiting class currently sits at 17, losing a Draylon Miller and a Gabriel Relaford and a Cam Coleman, of course, is going to hurt the recruiting class. I think the goal needs to be to keep it where it is. If you lose a Terry Bussey or some of these other guys, if you lose one of these recruits, then we're going to start sinking down the rankings. And that's a problem. That's not good. So I think that, and with the portal too, I've talked about you're not going to keep everybody, right? You've lost a Fadil Diggs, a Tyreek Chappell, Jake Johnson, Walter Nolen, Bisontis, right? But okay, maybe you keep a Reuben Owens and a Connor Wigman and a Noah Thomas, or maybe that's what I'm getting at. You hold on to some. You're going to lose some, but don't lose it all. And I think you can compete next season. That is my whole argument. Same with this recruiting class. You lost to Cam Coleman to a team, so you're going to be facing Cam Coleman next year, which you hate to see. But you lose to Cam Coleman. Now you can't lose to Terry Bussey. You can't do it. You got to hold on to some of these guys. You need this talent on the roster. But the recruiting class is 17th. Like I said, you have to close well. We got signing day coming up. It's the 7th. Signing day is coming up on the 20th. I literally keep saying that. I'm pretty sure, but I believe the 20th. If not, it's like the day before, day after. Have to close this recruiting class. You can't lose a ton of guys down the stretch. You got to keep it where it is. Close now. Can't lose any of these 5 stars. You got to hold on. And the other thing I'd add too, just like you need a couple corners in the transfer portal, I would say go get a couple corners in this recruiting class. You got plenty of safeties. You've got, a corner. You've got a very talented corner committed, and you've got some talented safeties committed. But I'd go get another corner, maybe boost his class a spot or two. I'm not asking you to go get a 5-star because I don't think there are any available. I'm saying go get take a shot on a low 4-star, a high 3-star. I mean, take a shot. What's the worst that can happen? I mean, Terry Norwood's a great example. If a player doesn't have to be 5-star to come in and be a freshman All-American, that's a great point there. So I'd say go get another corner. And I think I'd be happy with where this class is at, where this class finishes at. So we knew we were going to lose players. We knew it was going to happen. It hurts, but we knew it was going to happen. Just hold on to enough that this team can be competitive next season. So, Aggie fans, let me know in the comments, how do we feel about losing these players we lost in the portal? Let me know how you feel about Coach Klein, how you feel about his offense. Are we happy with everything that he's going to put together for Texas A&M? I am. I'm really excited about what he's going to do. I think he's an incredible coach. I don't think we're going to have him long because I think he'll be a head coach in the next 3-4 years. So we need to enjoy him and make a run in the playoffs while we have him because this guy is a really good football coach. That is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Aggies. Thanks so much for tuning in every single day to you everydayers. We'll have one more episode coming to you on Friday. Can't wait to bring that to you. Hope everybody has a great rest of your day today. Enjoy the football game tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.